Yeah, this is a podcast of Nathan, Nat and Sean.
Let's go!
All right, everybody. Natalie sounds a bit different today, don't you, lady?
WFH. working from home.
What did you call me?
Yeah, I was thinking, it's about time. Hey, Nat, earlier on, obviously, we kicked things off. We're talking about bathers and things that can go wrong, disasters with wearing your cock jocks or your bikinis.
Yeah, and Sean says breasts a lot today as well.
Did you like that?
And it's not right.
No, Sean.
No. We made him stop before Julie Bishop got into the studio, though, because she is an amazingly powerful woman.
Yeah, well,
we love her.
Sean was a friend pushing the limits. We actually talk about friends pushing the limits as well. And also the flight's been thrown into the air on a Delta flight over in the US. We don't know if that's such a great idea or not.
This is Nathan, Nat and Sean.
Guys, I want to speak about Elon Musk right now.
Please.
Now, this is unbelievable. As we know, he went through a bit of a phase just recently where he wanted to get rid of all materialistic things, which is weird for the richest man in the world. He got rid of all of his properties. I think he just has one now for entertaining clients and things like that.
Oh.
But
Just a ballroom.
Because everyone, all the richies like him have a place in every city, like America type stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, you'd have a thing in New York, you'd have a thing in LA, you'd have something in the Bahamas.
Yeah,
of course.
You know.
Yeah. So this is the thing with him now. When he visits the San Francisco Bay Area where he's got a lot of his business takes place, he has admitted to just sleeping at his friends' houses in their spare bedrooms and even on their couches. Now,
What?
Now,
He can afford a hotel. Well, surely. It's a business expense. What's he doing?
this to me would infuriate me. Imagine, when you've ever had someone stay over your house, even if they're in a spare bedroom, let alone being on your couch, in the morning you're always creeping around. You know what I mean? You don't want to disturb them because we know we get up early. But imagine if they're sleeping in your lounge room and you have to walk past them to get to the kitchen to make a cup of tea, and then you put the kettle on.
Or you can't turn the TV on.
This guy is a billionaire. And he is sleeping on someone's couch for, it could be 5 nights, Sean.
But what happens if it's your mates? Nathan, if you're swinging by, you go.
He's a billionaire, Sean.
But
if you parked a Tesla in my driveway for free, then no worries. But he's not said anything about giving me a Tesla.
What about, he parked his Tesla in your driveway, then connected the power so he could drive out the next day.
That's right. Sean, how many of your mates like sleep on your couch at night and then buy Twitter the next day? Come on. It's ridiculous.
No, that's a really good point, Nat. No,
do you think Megan would say to you,
so
Elon Musk has come over to your house, right?
Yeah.
And he's been there for 2 weeks staying on your couch. Do you think that Megan will pull you aside one day and go, hey, Sean, I know Elon's your friend, you're trying to be nice, but he's a billionaire. And there's heaps of
there are
accommodation
hotels
available.
Yeah.
He could buy the hotel, it would make a dent. He could buy a hotel and it wouldn't make the dent. Some friends just push things to the limits. And I was reading this other story. So this guy has gotten the barefoot investor Scott Pape to give him some advice because 4 years ago he lent his friend $500,000. That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
Because this guy wanted to get onto the property ladder.
Oh, great. Who doesn't?
Anyway, so the guy now has just not ever paid him back.
Well, he just hasn't paid him back.
And he's a good friend. They see each other all the time.
Still, after $500,000 of no repayment.
Yep, the good friend sees, and that's why, because, and he said that he was, in a bit of an emotional state when he gave him the $500,000. Maybe looking back, he shouldn't have. Duh.
Do you think?
And then he said, so moving forward, Scott, what can I do? Because I'm sorry, if anyone is listening right now and you've lent somebody money, the worst thing, and it's happened to me so many times, and it currently is happening right now, the worst thing is when you have to ask that person for the money back because suddenly you feel like the imposition.
Yeah, that's a good point.
To them.
And we're talking $500,000 here. This is ridiculous.
So Scott has said, mate, this is the time where the lawyers get involved. And he goes, you just have to send a notice saying that you need to pay me by this certain time. And he goes, and if that breaks down the friendship, and that breaks down the friendship because he's not being your friend because he hasn't.
No, he's just taking advantage of you, let's face it.
Yeah. We want to talk about, it doesn't have to be all serious.
Yeah.
It
doesn't have to be your billionaire friend.
No. But we just want to know, when your friends have pushed the limits, right? When they've really pushed the limits. There was this text message the other day that I was telling you guys about. This is so funny. This guy had texted his friend, weird question, but hear me out. Would it be okay if I borrowed your daughter for an hour? I'll be responsible. I just want to impress a girl that has a kid.
Well, that's just creepy tricky on many levels.
And she goes, by borrowing someone else's child. He goes, yeah, well, she won't know that. And she goes, so you want to impress her by lying? And he goes, yeah. And she goes, no, absolutely not.
It's pushing the limits.
That's somebody pushing the limits.
Yes.
Book smarter these holidays. With whatif.com, you can book everything for your trip all in one place. Plus, select hotels are fully refundable. Booking cancellation windows apply. Make up for missed holidays with What If. It's Aussie for travel. Check government advisories before booking and travelling.
You'd think that being friends with Elon Musk would come with some benefits.
I know.
Like he just gives you Teslas and stuff. But no, what happens is he rocks up and sleeps on your couch.
Like
That's
all
not
the
great.
time.
As a multi-billionaire.
He's the richest man in the world, Sean. The richest man in the world. We just think that as
Can't
a
even
friend,
imagine that.
pushing the friendship to the limit. That's what we're talking about right now. Hi, Shim.
Hi, how are you?
Good,
Shim.
mate. Okay, have you had a friend like this?
Yeah, so I had a friend from high school. We've been pretty close, and I'd invited her to my birthday party, and she said, no, I've got another event. I was like, no worries, all good. Anyway, she calls us up in the middle of dinner to ask if I would go and pick her and her boyfriend and all of them up.
What?
And pick up some snacks for them as well. And
Yeah.
I'm like, no,
What?
dessert's about to come. There's cake.
God, you are the worst friend ever.
So wait,
Yeah,
wait,
come on,
wait,
Shim.
So she was at another thing, and then she asked you to pick them up and bring them snacks.
On Shim's birthday.
Yeah, so like kebabs and stuff like
Bring
that.
them kebabs.
Yeah, and matches.
That is so funny. That is pushing the limits.
Still friends, Shim? Still friends?
On and off, not as close as before.
Oh,
Okay,
that's classic.
I'm not
With bad
surprised.
Maccas.
So good.
That's amazing. Thanks, Shim. Leonie, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good,
Hi,
Leonie.
Oh, Leonie, has a friend been pushing the limits?
Oh, yeah. Look, we're going back 16 years ago now when I had my third child. And my best friend at the time separated from her husband, so needed somewhere to stay.
Yeah.
So, you know, of course, like, yeah, of course, move in. And so she took the nursery. I had the baby in my room with two other toddlers as well.
Yeah.
She stayed for 3 months, didn't pay for anything,
No.
didn't cook a meal,
No.
didn't do any washing or anything. So she literally would bring me her washing when I was doing mine to hang it out, to wash it and hang it out and stuff.
And you have a
It is for
newborn
3 months.
baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, and two toddlers. So I was exhausted, and there was one afternoon I thought, I've got to go and have a sleep. When I had a sleep, she went outside, brought her washing in, and left all mine on the line.
Leonie!
So I legit, I flipped the lid, obviously, and picked her out, and that was 16 years ago. She hasn't spoken to me since.
Leonie, you are better off without her in your life. My God.
How could you honestly do that? You go out and and take your washing off. You don't help at any stage. You don't cook, clean. You don't do anything.
Oh,
you don't
my
even take the
God.
washing in.
And this is the worst thing, right? So whether it's lending money or letting someone stay at your house or whatever, when you're the person that has to put an end to it because they are making it go on forever or they just aren't addressing the situation, suddenly you become the villain. It's not fair, but that was funny.
The Nathan, Nat and Sean podcast.
We are talking about friends that really do push the limits of the friendship and expect a little bit too much.
Oh, like Elon Musk sleeping on your couch for free. World's richest man, everybody. Alex is in Southern River. Hi, Alex.
Morning, crew. How are we?
Good, Alex. All right, tell us all about your friend, Alex.
Oh, basically, back when we were in our 20s and we were always going to parties and stuff, he was crying poverty, you know, so I used to always buy him drinks and I'd buy him food and buy him everything, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And turns out that he wasn't poverty. He was actually saving his money and he ended up buying a house.
Well played, him, Alex.
So basically, I helped him buy a house, basically, because I bought him everything.
Hey, Alex, can I just say I really connect with you right now because years ago I had this mate and I and look, when you make
I know where this story's going.
when you make money, right? So I was making good money here, and then when your friend isn't really on good money, straight away you feel like you should be picking up the tab here and there. So I was doing that quite a lot, and then also he would start saying to me, "Oh, well, I don't have money for rent this week. Can I borrow some money for rent?" So I'd like pay rent for him every now and then. He would never pay me back. And then one day I said to him, "Oh, what are you doing this next week?" I said, "You know, or we've been invited to this party, or whatever." He goes, "I'm not going to be here." And I said, "Why?" And he goes, "Oh, I've been saving up. I'm going to the Maldives."
Unreal.
And he went to the Maldives.
None of us have been to
And
the
I've never
Maldives.
been there.
None of us have. 'Cause we
I
can't
sent
afford
him
it, Nate.
there. Oh, Alex. So funny.
Thanks so much, Alex. Christelle's in Clarkson. Hello.
Hello, good morning. How are you?
Estelle.
Oh, okay.
Good.
Talk to us about what your friends have been doing.
Yeah, so I went on a Kentucky a few years back and I've been saving for such a long time to go. Last minute, one of my friends says to me, I'm going to come with you. So I was like, okay, cool. So we get there and it's for about 3 weeks and we're driving all through America and every day we stop a few times at petrol stations to get snacks and food and whatnot. And every single time she'd say to me, do you mind paying for this? I don't want to break my 100. So the first no worries. But then after 3 weeks, when she was still not wanting to break the 100, I got it, Got on my final leg and I was like, excuse me, maybe you can break the 100 this time.
You break the 100.
What do you mean I don't want to break that?
Well, you don't want to show when you break it. It's broken.
Yeah. I mean, then you've got change and you've got to carry it around.
Yeah, I know how
God.
inconvenient for her.
Oh my God, I'm connecting with this too, Christelle. Because years ago, I had these, we had these flight vouchers that Natalie and I did for hosting this thing.
Oh, yeah, we did. Yep.
So I used them to go overseas, and I end up shouting my mate a trip overseas, and then I had accommodation and everything paid for. So I said, all you need to do is bring your spending money, which I don't think he did, because when we were going into the airport to get into the country, he walks up at duty free and puts 2 cartons of cigarettes down in front of me and then walks off. And I went, what are these? He goes, I just wanted to get these. I went, with my money? What are you talking about? It was, anyway, I'm connected to a lot of this.
Yeah, that's,
Don't worry.
this has just been a therapy session for you, David.
Nathan, Nat, and Sean.
Tell you what, there were some happy people on a flight over in the US yesterday when the Delta pilot had made the announcement that the Biden administration has said there will be no more masks on flights. Here he is.
April 18th, the Biden administration announced that the Transportation Security Administration will no longer enforce the federal mandate requiring masks in all U.S. airports and on board aircraft.
Finally!
Effective immediately.
So people ripped their masks off in celebration, and half of them are dead now.
I was going to say, like, this is
I mean,
a
that'll
country
learn 'em.
that's still having heaps of cases.
You know what? I would get my mask on in America.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'd
Far
put an
out.
extra one on. So
I mean-
it was happening in flights all around that people
The
were
US?
making the mid-flight announcement. One flight attendant, she had spoken and did the announcement, and she started crying because she said this is the first time in 2 years we can take the mask off. And I just thought, if I was a flight attendant, I'd have 10 on.
Yeah.
Passengers
Yes.
are gross. Passengers are gross.
I reckon
100%.
take COVID out of it. The amount of times I've caught a plane and then
Gotten sick afterwards.
Gotten sick afterwards. So on that, I don't know if it has to be a continual thing that we have to wear masks, but if you wanted to, for your own personal protection, go ahead and wear them all day long. I don't really care, and I think that's something that you could look at going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think our attitude to mask wearing has changed a lot. Because, when you would go and travel in places like Japan, 10 years ago, everybody wore masks because they're trying to protect themselves and other people if they were symptomatic with whatever. So I think that, maybe down the track, that is something that we can sort of think about, that maybe if we are coughing and sneezing, that perhaps covering up is the right thing to do no matter what it is that you've got.
personal choice.
You're right. 2.5 years ago, if you wore a mask around the street, you would look like people going, what's his problem?
Yeah.
That's right.
But now it's just normal, and and we've all got 300 of them at home.
It's just
the mask
everywhere.
mandate comes out, we're all stuffed. It's amazing though, because now we're on the turn or on the precipice of change. Victoria and New South Wales are expected to scrap isolation requirements for household contacts of people with COVID within days. So that means, Sean, moving forward, like what you experienced last, a couple of weeks ago for the start of the break.
Yep.
Anyone else in your household gets COVID, then you can still go around and
From my experience, and I'm wholeheartedly with that. Only because I know that you can lock away people these days. You can lock them away, like with my kids. We can lock them away, so to speak, and then we can go about our normal day. So my kids wouldn't have had to miss school last week, which is their last week of school and stuff like that, and you can go about your daily business. I clearly that's the future anyway. The sooner the better, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the mandates, they'll be wrapping up soon, don't you reckon, Nat?
Well, I mean, Mark McGowan reckoned they wouldn't, like the state mandated ones. But, private industry, if they had a mandate, they can make that decision at any time, really.
Yep.
So
we know
It'll
some places that the mandate has wrapped up now, and like we said before, if you're one of those people that were didn't want to get the vaccine and did it to keep their job, and Mark said this was going to happen for years and years and years, and those mandates go.
You've been pretty filthy. You've been pretty filthy.
So
absolutely.
filthy.
We're not those people, but
but
certainly, geez, you'd be filthy. It's all going to be scrapped, the whole lot, and it's just going to be fair bump play on type of scenario. I think going forward, it seems that way. I think it's going to be that way.
The hospital load is the critical factor there. So the vaccine mandates in WA have worked because, even at our worst, the caseload wasn't so dramatic. The hospitalizations weren't as dramatic. So in that sense, it's paid off.
Yep.
But I understand for those people that had, objections to it, that stings.
Does it mean that, the other people, and there's, I think there's like 5% of people who haven't gone ahead and had any vaccinations going past. Do they get more righteous? Do they start walking around workplaces?
Oh, yeah. It's like, I saw this coming. You're all sheep. That's what I'll be saying.
Yes. Sheeple, Nathan, sheeple.
Yeah.
Get it right.
And we'll just be all having to... I could have a Friday night bath in hand sanitizer. That's how much I've got to know.
You're listening to Nathan, Nat and Sean.
So over my break, I just sort of potted around Perth and saw some people and did some things, and one day saw something very confronting at the shops.
What was that, my friend?
Confronting and heartbreaking, and I was the only one to give this person aid. Okay. So I had walked in, and there was an old man, and he would have been in his 80s, if not scraping it.
Okay.
And he had like a singlet on and a beach towel wrapped around his waist.
Okay.
Obviously had just been for a dip.
Yep.
Either in the beach or the pool.
Yep.
I didn't ask. Next minute I turn around and I'm at the bread, and then I hear these women giggling, just laughing, and then I hear I sort of hear like gasp of horror, and I've turned back and the old man has dropped his towel and he's there in budgie smugglers. And
was this old man Sean McManus?
No,
That's right.
And the budgies were tired. The budgies were tired and they were flying low. And here he is, so he's got his basket in one hand.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know why he just didn't put his basket down, but maybe it's because of a balance thing. He was trying to pick up the towel and he couldn't. So if you can just imagine, for probably a minute too long, someone bent over in front of a pack of women in budgie smugglers with all the skin, just trying to pick up his towel. And no one was helping him. And people were walking past, going, oh. And I was like, come on. So I just walked over and I said, oh, here, mate, here you go. And he goes, no worries. And I picked up his towel and he goes, oh, thank you so much. And I said, let me hold your basket on and get that towel back around you.
You were there to help him. You were helping everybody else.
Yes, that's right. It was
Can you please cover your Farmer Jackson crackers? So, bathers, you know what I mean? It's a confronting thing when they're not in their natural state.
Their habitat,
Nathan, I have a tale of bathers that were in their natural state, actually, because this is a story from the beach. Back when I had Max, my old border collie, I took him and Lewis down to Leighton Dog Beach, but we went to the end where you climb down the stairs. And so I was walking down the stairs. The dogs race ahead because they're excited. They're at the beach.
Oh, of course.
And then Max starts running rings around this man and just barking his head off at him in what could be described as vaguely threatening.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like... Because he's when Max barks, he barked with gusto.
Yeah.
And I'm looking down at this guy, and it's a guy in his probably late 60s, early 70s. He was just laughing. He found it amusing.
Okay.
But Max was just running around in circles, barking at him mildly aggressively. And I'm like, oh, this isn't good. And I looked down, and this guy, he had a really hairy chest. Had a big gold chain, and he was wearing nothing but budgie smugglers.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, Max, come on, stop. Don't. Anyway, so eventually I get down to the beach. I call Max away. Max comes away. The man just laughs and walks off down the beach. And as he walks off, he wasn't just wearing budgie smugglers. He was wearing G-banger budgie smugglers. And I'm like,
Max was
a
the
good...
next level?
Max was a good judge
Sweet
of character,
mums,
wasn't he?
he said.
Max was
"There's
like,
no
I will
place for
not
this."
stand for this. And everyone needs to know what's wrong. Because when you're being circled by a dog and it's barking aggressively at you, I don't care what it is, you look like you've done something evil. Because dogs know.
That's right. And then I saw his butt cheeks and he was doing something.
Nathan, Nat and Sean in podcast form.
We're talking about bathers right now.
We are.
Yeah, we are.
Confronted with an old man at the shop, dropped a towel and was in his speedos and he was pushing 100. And I was the only one that helped him pick up his towel. The poor guy's bent over just trying to grab it, and it wasn't getting any closer. Now, remember years ago, and Sean, maybe you were here, we spoke to someone and we were talking about terrible birthday presents or terrible presents.
Yes.
And this guy, his grandmother crocheted him a pair of bathers.
Oh, yeah.
Not just that, but they were brown.
Brown crocheted bathers.
That is wrong in all sorts.
That's grim on every level, isn't it?
Imagine,
brown, the whole lot.
Imagine wearing knitted bathers. Not even knitted. Crochet's a big knit, isn't it?
Crochet, yeah.
Knit.
I mean, there is a bit of a craze, fad every now and then in women's bikinis where they're crocheted. And they, look a bit like macrame kind of deal. But,
but not for a guy.
No, not for a guy. And brown is not the colour.
You bought some.
I first was dating Megan. I remember I bought some of those style ones that you're just mentioning in Bali when we were there. And
For
then I
you?
bought them. No,
Okay,
bikini
sorry.
for me.
No, I thought you meant just crocheted. Yes.
Anyway, the bikini tops barely went over her breasts. Like they must have been 20 sizes too small for her. But I thought at that time they might have looked all right.
I'm really disturbed when you say breasts.
Yeah, me too.
That was really confronting. Candace is in Warraloo. Hi, Candace.
Good morning, guys.
Hi, Candace.
Candace, great. What
Excuse me,
happened?
it's just on the loudspeaker while I pull in the staff car park.
Oh, yeah, no worries. Do you want Sean to say breasts again while you...
God, I felt
Nobody
so
wants
saying it.
I was also a bit disturbed by that.
It was a lot, wasn't it? Like, we're all friends here. We've got our guard down. Then Sean says breasts. And,
A little bit early in the morning.
It is, isn't it?
It is,
and it could
isn't
also be really late at night. I don't know if there's a time for it. How are you going
So
with your
my
car park?
story, I've just pulled into
Perfect,
a spot,
sweetheart. I love it.
getting on a double shift today,
Oh,
so
honey.
all raring to go.
Yeah.
What are you having for lunch, Candace?
Anyway,
I'm enjoying this. Yeah.
so my story happened about 22 years ago when I was a young, naive little 16-year-old.
Yeah.
And I bought some new bathers from the Cancer Council Foundation for a fundraiser, and I was like, these are awesome. They looked really pretty. They had little boy leg shorts, and we're going on a family trip to Kalbarri Beach Resort. So I was like, yes, score.
Yeah.
So first time I wear them, there's all these boys around the pool, and I was like, oh, some of them look all right. I might just dive in and, So I dive in the pool, and on impact, the bra top snapped and floated away. The pants started to come down.
Oh, honey.
So I'm trying to cover the top with one arm, pull the pants up with another arm. I'm screaming at my brother to go and get me a towel.
Yeah.
And then one of the guys swims over and he's like, here's your top. And I was mortified.
Oh, that's the worst, Candace.
Sweetheart.
16 too. That would have hurt. I mean, at any age that hurts,
Yeah.
but let alone being.
Hey, just a question for you, Candace, and you, Natalie. Say if the bathers were to come up and come off, and you only had one arm to cover the top end and the bottom end, which end do you choose?
I think
bottom.
you're the bottom. Yeah.
The bottom. Yeah. Just let the girls
Cover
be
the
free.
mini.
Just let the
But
girls
luckily
be
we
free.
do have two arms.
Yeah, I mean, not everyone does that,
No, that's true. That's true.
and we're a show for everyone. So
That's true. That is true.
Thank you, Candace.
Candace.
Cheryl's in Waikiki. Hi, Cheryl.
Hi.
hi, Cheryl. All right,
Okay.
we're talking about bathers, Cheryl. What happened?
About 25 years or so, I was down in Bunsborough with my husband and my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, and we're walking along the beach with their dog, Barney, a little beagle.
Yeah.
As we're walking along the beach, there was this woman, and she was bathing topless, and Barney ran up and grabbed her bikini top and ran off with it along the beach.
Barney.
Yeah.
And the two boys had to run after him, and they finally had to fight with him to get him off him. And they eventually walked back to this woman who was laying down, and they said to her, excuse me, is this your top? And she sort of got up. And as she got up, the two boys, their eyes just bulged out of their head.
Yes.
And the dog, he just sat there, like with a big grin on his face. And my sister-in-law and myself, we just fell over backwards laughing.
I tell you what, how many treats and pats did that beagle get after that day from those boys?
I was going to say, those boys trained that dog to do that.
They did. They really did, Cheryl.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Well
Let's go
done.
to
Thanks,
Lani
Cheryl.
in Treby. Hi, Lani.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Lani. All right,
Lani.
we chucked it
Well,
out
this
there.
story's about me. It took me a while to ring because usually I'm telling on my family.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true, Lani.
yeah. All right, what happened, Lani?
So I was in Greece and my son was only 9 months old and we were heading out on a boat for a trip. So I just wore a pair of shorts and a bikini top so I could get a suntan while I was out there.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this dude doing, flapping his arms around, waving in front of him? And he was trying to shoo a bee away. Well, he finally did and swatted it straight down at my bikini top, which then proceeded to sting me.
Oh!
And I just flashed the whole of the boat jetty. Everybody's looking because they're wondering what this guy was doing. And then here's me flashing
Your boobs.
strangers, Greeks, family, random people just trying to enjoy a holiday, and they just
a couple of things.
So funny.
A couple of things. So, firstly, the fact that it was like a bullet with a stinger on it being thrown at you, and the other thing is Sean boobs isn't any better.
Sean, I think we're just going to ban you from talking about the general chest area of a woman forever. Okay?
What else have you got? What else have you got,
Just
Sean?
wait till after 8 and see what I come up with.
I think you're okay with wangers.
Wangers, yeah. It's been approved.
I think wangers is for Sean.
This is a podcast of Nathan, Nat and Sean.
Yesterday, it was in the news and last night again, and it was all to do with the AFL and their dissent rule, the umpiring. We wanted to see what the AFL had to say because there's a lot of free kicks given over the weekend, 50-metre penalties. We had the argument or disagreement with Steve Butler, in fact, yesterday.
And especially with the fact that I was looking at some of the media last night that it was called on some people, not on some other people. And it's like, well, if it's fundamentally changing the game, which like you said it did, then how is that fair?
So the AFL
it needs
came
to be
out.
consistent.
Yeah. You would have said Brad Scott spoke on behalf. That's his job to come up with the rules and enforce them. He had this to say last night.
There's no acceptable level of dissent towards umpires. So if players show demonstrable dissent, then they're risking a free kick or 50-metre penalty.
So over the weekend there was 12 times. 6 times there was free kicks played, 50-metre penalties, and 6 times players put their arms in the air, not in a threatening way, but what they deemed to be demonstrative, so hands on the hips or just out a little bit. And they're saying that they should have now been paid, but it sets.
I'm sorry. So for me, I don't know. Because Steve Butler's all for this, which really surprised me. But I don't know. It's a natural thing. It's a natural thing to show frustration. If you're swearing at them, then that's disrespecting them.
Yeah, I agree.
But if you could be throwing out your arms in the air about yourself. You know what I mean?
If it's delayed because you're doing it at the replay, which is that seems even more ridiculous to me. Also, I think that the penalty is too harsh. Like if they could find something between that's a penalty that's not 50 metres, I think I'd be more on board. But it does seem when that is what's determining the outcome of the game, I think it's too problematic to me.
But where are we going? Are we going to have GoPros strapped to everyone's heads and just in case you roll your eyes and that's the next one?
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
It's
they're
so
saying
stupid.
A lot of people are commentating and saying it's too robotic now. And I'm totally, and we keep coming back to the fact we want umpires to be able to umpire the game and feel safe. So
it needs to be a safe space.
And people getting in your face and all that kind of
all
stuff.
of that cut it out. But someone like 20 metres away from you going, decision. What's wrong with that?
After they saw the replay, not even at the actual decision. It seems ridiculous.
That's going to be a point of conjecture for quite some time. So we'll let that go.
How are players responding to this?
All the players that have been spoken to are saying they're quite confused. They don't see asking a question like, "Oh, Nath, what was that free kick for?"
I'll go, I don't know football.
Yeah. You shouldn't ask me questions, so I'm going to give you 50. That's all I know what to do. So, they're frustrated. They also then running the company line. We've been told that the umpires are going to crack down on behaviour, but there's behaviour and then there's also a reflex or a question asking. I think that should be let go.
Yeah,
the one thing that we didn't cover yesterday, and there was news that came to light, was Ryan Campbell, who worked with you guys for a number of years. I knew him outside of Nova, personally through the cricket and Channel 10 at the time. He had a heart attack yesterday, guys, in London.
Unbelievable stuff. Was down at the playground with his kids. And
his kids are really little as well. It must have been so scary for them.
Luckily, someone that was there ended up,
performing CPR.
Yeah, and she just qualified in CPR as well, that lady.
Shows really
extraordinary.
To be able to do that course if you can. Look, hopefully he's going to be okay. It's so shocking because what is Cambo? He's like 50, is he?
50. Yep. Just turned 50.
50.
Yep.
And you know what? And this is the thing, and people shouldn't be going down the conspiracy theory route, but a lot of people are saying, what is happening with all these athletes around that age having heart conditions at the moment, which is surprising because you normally think athletes are so fit.
Yeah, it's just a cross-section of society.
But I suppose it's just, with Shane Warne being very topical.
Front line. And Rod Marsh as well.
Yes.
Of course, we all had great dealings with Cambo. Obviously, you guys were a lot closer because you worked with him on a daily basis.
Yeah, mate, he was such a great guy. There's is such a great guy. Sorry, and then there's a video of him making out with my mum, which was a really special moment for her when she was dressed as Amy Winehouse, singing in Rehab, just out on the balcony. So he really he went for it. And, treated her like
given
a
the
woman.
opportunity.
She treated
her like a woman.
Our thoughts are with his family as well. Yes. It must be so scared to be on this side of the world and he's in London and not being able to be there with him. So, and he was just here last week surprising his mum and dad, which was just the most gorgeous video that he posted on his socials. And now to think that, they're separated by such distance and he's, really struggling on the other side of the world.
I tell you what, though, we've been so envious of his career, though, because he left here and then you started, right? Mm-hmm. So Cambo left here and then he has just lived in the most amazing places, like with the best jobs all around the world. And during that entire adventure where he's found himself just spread around the globe, we've sat in the same chairs in this same studio, Nat.
Yeah, that's true. I know. Well, he's currently the coach of the Dutch national cricket team, and
he was in Hong Kong before, and
fingers across for him that he pulls through.
Absolutely,
it's a pretty tough time for him and his family.
Nathan, Nat and Sean podcast.
2022 marks the 14th annual white shirt campaign from Witchery, which raises money for the Ovarian Cancer Research Foundation. Amazing cause. And they have an amazing ambassador, the one Julie Bishop, who joins us now.
They went straight to the top. Straight to the top.
Didn't they just?
Hi, Julie.
Hi, guys. I'm so sorry that Nat's not in here with us, but just being
I'm
careful.
Sorry too.
Yeah, you're just being very careful. But you don't have to do that anymore. Well, not New South Wales and Victoria. You don't have to stay home.
Yeah, but we're in Perth.
But we are in Perth, that's true.
Okay, won't be too far away. Actually, you're sitting in Natalie's chair.
Oh, I'm getting quite comfortable here.
That's the powerful woman chair, Julie.
Another gig for me. I'd like that.
Julie, you're wearing the shirt at the moment, which is from Witchery. I am wearing the white shirt.
That's right. This is a collaboration between Witchery and the Ovarian Cancer Foundation. And this year, the designer Michael Lasordo has done this shirt, which is terrific. I've got it French tucked.
Oh, so that means
today.
One side in and the other side out, guys.
Now, the sale proceeds, 100% of the gross proceeds from the sale of these shirts at Witchery or Witchery online go to ovarian cancer research. And that's so important because it's the most lethal of female cancers. Yeah. And for example, the 5-year survival rate for breast cancer is 92%. For ovarian cancer, it's 48%.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, that's terrifying, isn't it?
That's because the symptoms are not abnormal and women are not diagnosed generally until later in the stages of the disease. And so they are more likely to die from this disease because there's no early detection test, like pap smear, mammogram. So that's why we're raising funds. And $14 million over the last 14 years, and we want to raise even more for this ovarian cancer research.
It's really great, the Witchery White Shirt campaign, because a lot of the times when a charity is selling something where proceeds are going to go to it, it's sort of really branded and people really can't wear it afterwards. But this is actually something that you can put into your everyday wardrobe that looks great.
Well, a white shirt is a staple. Yeah. Every girl has to have many white shirts in her wardrobe.
Yes. And a pair of culottes as well as a staple.
Culottes? Where did you get that
from? Natalie told me.
He's from the 1970s, Julie.
I was going to say that the 1980s are calling and want their culottes back.
Yeah. What do you mean? Put on your best culottes, go around your friend's house for some fondue. What are you talking about? This is current edge.
Hey, Julie, it is great you're involved in this. And the one thing with Witchery getting you on board clearly is because you've been a style icon for many years. In fact, I know you were in Melbourne recently, and one of the articles I was just seeing on you was that you were at the F1s, which would have been amazing. And how amazing you looked in this one piece.
It was a fantastic event.
So anything you wear is, under the spotlight.
It does cause a little bit of commentary, but I'm delighted to be an ambassador for Witchery. I've been involved in raising funds for ovarian cancer research for a number of years now, but this campaign where you have a female, high profile, if I can say without blushing, high profile.
Yeah, no, you can.
To draw attention to the White Shirt campaign on social media, through mainstream. You guys are mainstream media.
Thank you.
Oh, wow.
My pleasure.
Thank you
and
so much.
for doing this kind of awareness raising is so important, because women will go out and buy a shirt. It's $129.95, sizes 4 to size 20. So the diverse array of women's bodies can fit into this beautiful white shirt, and you are raising funds for this very vital disease that affects so many women. About 1,700 women will be diagnosed with ovarian cancer this year alone in Australia.
And my dad and I actually had a conversation about a white shirt. I went to the cinema on Sunday night and I was wearing a white shirt, and Dad said to me, how can anyone wear a white shirt these days? And I said, what are you talking about? And he goes, they get so filthy so quickly. I said, that's on you, you animal. What do you think's going to happen at the cinema?
Probably thought you were going to drop your ice cream down the front.
Yes.
And you did.
Yeah, of course
Of course you did.
This is a podcast of Nathan, Nat and Sean.
Hey, Julie, at the moment, I've spoken about you quite a lot because we're in a campaign, a political election campaign. And I swear, and I know you didn't want to, but if you ran for Prime Minister, everybody would have voted for you. You're exactly what this country needs.
But we don't vote for the Prime Minister as such, as you know.
I know.
When you get your voting paper, it's got the name of your local candidates.
Yep.
And that's democracy in Australia. You vote for your local candidates, and then the party that wins the most seats forms government.
Yep.
Well, it has to win 76 seats, forms government, and then they elect their leader. So indirectly, you're voting for the party and the leader, but in actual fact, you're voting for a local candidate.
But I don't think anyone's doing it that way. No. So mentally, so Mark McGowan, going back to the state, the state election, right? So everyone just went in, I'm going with Mark McGowan. That's what they were thinking. Right. And all these people, remember that guy that got in he was over in Canada.
Yeah.
And so do we have to get back to thinking about what the person is supposed to be representing my area?
Well, it's become very presidential, without doubt. It's as if we are electing a president, direct elect, and we're not. We're electing a candidate that belongs to a party that then elects their leader. But we all know that if you vote Liberal, you'll have Scott Morrison. If you vote Labor, you'll have Anthony Albanese, until such time as the parties decide you won't. We've seen a revolving door of leaders over time. But I think the campaign has been rather uninspiring to date. I mean, the first week was as everyone was settling in to get their lines straight, and not everybody did that.
Yes.
There were some embarrassing moments. This week it started in a rather negative tone as well. And I think the Australian people will be waiting for some substantial policy policies. That probably won't happen until the leaders' debates and then the official campaign launches, and that's weeks away. So strap yourselves in, people. We've got.
It feels like just such a long road, Julie. Do you miss it, Jules? When we're in the middle of this, we're in the throes of it. Do you get itchy feet? Think, I'd love to be out on the hustings again, or are you're done? It's in the past.
It's very much in the past. I certainly don't miss Canberra. I don't miss the small p politics, the backstabbing and undermining and white. Oh no, that was actually the best part of it.
Well, that was a bit of fun. When you're on the right side of it, it's fun.
Oh yeah.
No. So I don't miss the political side of it. I'm still involved in foreign policy, and that was the great love of my involvement in politics, was being foreign minister and being involved in debates about Australia's place in the world and all of those challenging issues. But I'm still doing that through various roles that I have in the private sector.
I have to say,
through ANU.
When you were representing Australia, I was really proud to have you be the face of us. I just thought that and that's where sort of I am at the moment. I want to be proud of the person that is representing us. And at the moment, I don't know where that pride is going to come from.
I hope that the debates become a little more inspiring than they have been. It's become quite personal, as we've said.
Yeah.
And there's such a focus on the individual foibles and characteristics of the candidates, whereas we should actually be looking at the vision that each party has, or the candidates have, how they want Australia to be, how they're going to deal with issues like the national debt, how they're going to ensure that there's job security, that we can survive with all these global challenges ahead of us, climate change. There are so many issues that we want to hear from the parties and the candidates, yet there's so much sort of sniping and so personalised.
Yeah.
Let's rise above that. We're better than that.
Julie, on the being foreign minister, you got to meet everyone around the world. Give us your take on Vladimir Putin.
Well, he is a very determined person. He's a risk taker. He's a gambler. He is very proud, and there is no way he will back out of this war in Ukraine. He can't be seen to lose. He's formidable, quite
When you look
menacing.
at him, when you meet him face to face, do you feel...
Yes.
Is there a power, or there's an anger in him? I'm not sure.
Do you feel respect towards you?
Yes, he did. I met him over MH17 and had to take him to task over the fact that Russia was denying all responsibility for shooting down that Malaysian airline flight that had 38 Australians on board, of course. And this is where the whole Ukraine thing came to a head 14 years ago, when Russia had almost invaded Ukraine. Then there were Russian soldiers in eastern Ukraine, and they were causing protests and dissent in eastern Ukraine, and Russia denied it. They said, no, they are Ukrainians, they're just rising up in protest against the Ukrainian government. But when MH17 was shot down, the cover was blown. Only Russian soldiers could have shot that plane down, so Russian soldiers were in Ukraine. And Putin just denied it. He absolutely denied it. So when I met him and took him to task over this, there's a menacing air about him. But you keep remembering he's a fully trained member of the KGB. I mean, this guy's ex-KGB.
Yeah.
So he looks and acts in that way.
If he had asked you that after that meeting, Julie, I would like you to hop on the back of this horse with me and go for a ride. Is there someone you can say no to, or would you have been galloping into the hills?
I would have said, I think I'm busy. I think I am. There's not enough room on that little horse for both of us.
You didn't pack your
Julie,
emergency
shirt off,
breeches.
get on the horse. I can't do that accent.
They love that stuff.
The one thing that I'd be worried about,
strongman stuff.
the one thing I'd be worried about is you read so much. If someone was to hand you a coffee or something when you're in those meetings,
I wouldn't drink anything because everyone gets poisoned. Everyone gets poisoned.
What is it with Russia and poison?
Poisoning.
It goes back generations. They just are into poison.
You wouldn't eat a thing.
I remember when there was that poisoning in the Novichok in Britain. And all the allies of the UK were asked to call in the Russian ambassador. Well, I did. I called in the Russian ambassador, and somehow the media found out that he was, who knows, but anyway, the media found out that he was coming to see me. So he turns up at Parliament House. There's the press galleries all there hanging off the rafters to get pictures of him. He loved it. He
Oh,
wasn't
really?
swanning.
So he probably tipped off the press. Is that what you're saying?
I'm thinking. And gave a press conference, and it was all the propaganda. By the time he got in to see me, he'd done about, 5 media interviews. Just unbelievable. And then we had to get to talk about, by the way, your government is poisoning your citizens.
And stop it.
Like whatever.
Hey, Julie, when you were over there and eating and stuff, did you take a food taster with you? Did you have a political
many
aid?
food tasters.
Just have a nibble of that, thanks.
Oh, sorry, I've got a Cadbury Dairy Milk family block in my bag. I don't need this.
We could talk to you all day, Julie, but we know that you're a very busy woman. Everybody should check out the Witchery White Shirt campaign. You can go to witchery.com.au or pop into a store, pick up a shirt because it does raise amazing money for the Ovarian Cancer Research Foundation. You're a wonderful ambassador in every way. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
See you soon.
Bye.
Nathan, Nat, and Sean.